when you are an entrepreneur, the challenges that come trying to reach 100K are very different than trying to reach 250K. Very different than trying to reach 500K. Very different than reaching a million, right? The problems that you have at each level. And here's the thing, the problems get more expensive.
Hello, my fellow humans, and welcome to the Multiverse Leadership Podcast. Today, I'm thrilled to have Gary on our show. Gary is a leadership and mindset coach with nearly 20 years of experience helping heart-centered entrepreneurs escape burnout, get unstuck, and lead their businesses with clarity and purpose. Welcome, Gary, to the podcast.
Thank you, brother. It's so good to be here. I'm really excited.
Oh, yeah. You can let our audience kind of know a little bit about you, kind of walk us through your journey, how you got to where you are, and how you're helping other people out there.
Yeah, sure. So, if you share it, I'm a leadership and business coach. I wasn't always that. My first career, I was an art director. Actually, I was a graphic designer. And I graduated from the School of Visual Arts, and I got a fancy job at Sony Music, designing CD packages. So I'm dating myself a little bit there. And it was like, epic, right? I was 22. I had an office at Madison Avenue, and I was like on the 28th floor of this fancy building. And if I pushed my head up against the window in the right way, I could see Central Park. And even though everything was like amazing and everything that I had been working so hard for, I had achieved in this epic moment in my life, I very quickly started to realize that I wasn't really prepared to lead in that space. I was really prepared in how to make something beautiful and how to make something effective design, but I wasn't prepared to navigate the complexities of a big corporate environment, and I wasn't prepared to navigate the complexities of art directing a photo shoot, where if you're in a photo shoot, you have their artists, their whoever's in their entourage that day, their manager, you have the record label, you have my team, hair, makeup stylist, and so there's 8 to 14 people that you have to get to all play along and come up with one idea, get all behind an idea. And so I very quickly started to realize that I'm like, oh shit, I'm 22 and I don't really know what I'm doing here. And I think on the surface, I was doing a fine job, but the experience that I was having, like a duck, that duck underwater thing where I was just like in a panic mode half the time. And so going to work every day was just sort of like, I hope any minute now they're going to like catch me, right? Like they're going to find out that I have no idea what I'm doing, and they're going to send me on my way. And so I did that for about 4 years. Every day was kind of a struggle. And then I'm thinking like, okay, I'm going to go to a smaller place. I'm going to go to a smaller company that's not overwhelming, that doesn't have all the politics, that doesn't have all the things. And very quickly started to realize that I was having the same problems, even in a smaller environment. I was in a smaller agency of like maybe 30 people doing theater posters, a lot of fun. Again, another exciting job. And then I did that for a while, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to go work on my own. If I go work on my own, then I don't have to deal with all of the drama that comes with, going to work every day. But of course, I realized you take yourself wherever you go, right? And many times we think that by changing the circumstances, changing the relationship, changing the job, changing the boss, changing whatever it is, that you're going to get that power, that freedom, that self-expression, that joy that you're looking for in life. And I very quickly realized that if I'm going to experience those things, they can't depend on the people outside of me. They can't depend on my external circumstances. So then I got to work and I started to look around. I started to, look at therapy. I discovered coaching. I discovered, I had the blessing, of being able to discovering this leadership program that I went through. And that was my first aha. That was my first like, okay, the lights are on. I finally see where I've been going. I finally have some tools to help me navigate this. I have some tools to help me dismantle some of the stories that run in the background. Like that was like my big awareness awakening. And then I had, when you completed that program, you could go back and kind of mentor the next class. And so I did that as a way to give back. And that's when I discovered coaching.
Like,
And I was like,
aha.
oh, wait a minute. I was like, wait a minute. You mean I could have a conversation with someone and that could change the trajectory of their life forever? I'm like, okay, sign me up. This is what I want to do every day. This is my purpose. This is it, right? And so I started to work for that company just for fun, like a part-time job. They offered me a job and I was like, yeah, I want to definitely just
Hell
hang out.
yeah.
I was still designing. But eventually I realized this is what I'm meant to be doing. And I just dove full in and started to, build my business. And, luckily I was in an environment where I got a lot of training very quickly because we had like 100 clients coming in through the door every month. So I was able to really get a lot of practice. So by the time I left that company, I, I started my certification process. By that point, I could have taught the class because honestly, I had had so much experience already working, day to day with in that environment. So that's sort of the journey of how I became, a coach. Now, how I started working with entrepreneurs is also kind of an interesting story because it's, I started first as a life coach, and then I was like, oh, that's a little whiny for me. I don't really like just want to talk about feelings and all that. Like I want to like, what are you up to? Like I'm very much like, let's get some stuff, let's create. Like I want to, kick you in the butt in the most loving way possible to achieve what you want. So then I'm like, no, I'm an empowerment coach. I mean, nobody knew. By the way, this is like 20 years ago when nobody knew what the heck any of this stuff was, right? Like nobody knew what coaching was. Like whenever I introduced myself, everybody was confused and they were like,
Well, I
you
know
like a
there's a
Facebook
stigma
coach?
on life coaching. People are like, you're a life coach? Does that mean you don't know what you want to do with your life? Like
There's a
years
little bit of
ago?
that for sure. There's a little bit of, but it's just a different world. Like now it's
Yeah.
so in our face, but back then it was just starting to become a thing. So, I'm trying to figure out my way when there wasn't really a market for it. Everybody who was doing what I was doing was mostly doing it on the corporate level, was mostly doing it. They usually had like, a lot of letters after their name, a lot of credentials. And so in me going on this journey of figuring out how to grow my business and how to make it work, that was a ride, that was a ride. And I struggled and I went through some very dark places and the very dark times. And eventually I started to figure it out. I started investing in my own coaching and getting mentors that helped me grow the business. But I got in, so that process made me passionate about working with other entrepreneurs because I know what it means when you throw yourself out there and you say, okay, I'm gonna do this. Like I read a statistic once that only 10% of the US has business. Only 10% of the population actually is an entrepreneur. So I think that more of us want to do it, but only 10% do it because it's hard, because it's scary. So when you throw yourself off a cliff like that, I know what it means and I know what it takes. So I'm really like passionate about being a soft place to land for people that are doing that, and having them learn from my mistakes and having them learn from my journey. And what I discovered also along the way is that leadership is the thing that gets you through those moments. We think that it's like the strategy, and we think that it's like having the right tools, and we think that it's like, knowing the right, building the right funnel or having the right AI tool and having that. We think that there's something
We've all been
that if we
there.
just hack, that we'll figure it out and it'll flow. But at the end of the day, it's leadership. Because
Yeah.
when you look at, well, what's leadership? Leadership is ownership and responsibility, right? Leadership is commitment. Leadership is making bold declarations, right? Leadership is self-awareness so that you know how to navigate yourself during, like, those are all leadership. Authenticity, like, those are all leadership distinctions. And those are the same things that get you through the hard times in your business. So yeah, so that's a little bit of my journey.
Thank you so much for sharing. So much to unpack there. I like how you
Yeah.
brought up that a lot of people, they get into entrepreneurship, they don't really understand the cost of it or what it actually entails. They just, like you said, let me get this funnel, let me build this website. But there's actually a lot of work you have to do on yourself in order to get to that place. Because, like you're saying, the accountability when you're working a 9 to 5, you have a boss telling you what to do, helping you stay on
Yeah.
task. When you become an entrepreneur, you're accountable for your own self, your own actions, making money, etc. You have no one telling you what to do but yourself. A lot of us fall short of ourselves so many times. But being
Yeah.
in that entrepreneurial world, you learn so much about yourself. You learn what you're actually capable of. And it's so like, it still surprises me every day. Like,
It's the best personal development you're gonna get.
yeah, like
It
crazy.
literally is the best personal development course that you're going to get. It tests you in every single way. And that's, what happens a lot of time is, like, you get into business, you start your thing because you have a skill, you have a talent, you have a passion. You make cupcakes, and your cupcakes are amazing. And so you're going to go now start a business making a cupcake. But you very quickly start to realize that making the cupcake is actually like 10% of it. You gotta sell the cupcakes. You have to, market the cupcakes. You have to, deal with the taxes that go and the compliance that goes around the cupcakes. And you have to now learn to manage money in ways that you've never. And most of these skills are outside of our wheelhouse because most of us don't grow up with these types of examples or training experience, and so we are mostly having to figure it out on our own, and it can be really hard. It can be really, really lonely. All the things. So yeah, so I have a lot of compassion because, obviously I'm in that game myself. But having gone through that and having gone through the, I don't know where my bank account getting overdrafted. I don't know how I'm paying for the for
Preach
food
it.
or dinner.
Woo.
Having to walk into a networking room and pretend that you have your crap together, and like, there's a lot that you have to bring into dealing with those aspects of yourself, and those are all leadership moments. And one of the things that I think is really interesting about leadership is that we have all these misconceptions about leadership. We think that it has to look a certain way, right? So mostly when we look at leaders, we're like, oh, or even when we look at the people that we aspire to be, whether they're an entrepreneur or an artist or whatever it is, we see the highlight reels. We see the social now, especially in the social media world, we see the edited highlight reels. We see the shiny stuff. We see the moments where they're on top. But man, there's all the stuff in the background that went into getting that person there. They don't, I remember I was watching this reel.
That's the frustrating part,
Uh,
man.
yeah, I was watching some kind of influencer. I don't know, but he was like, "Oh, come follow me and my family on a day, a normal day." And it was like these
Normal
two
day.
guys. Yeah, and they're like, they start out, they go to the gym, and then they come home, and the kids were off school, and then they're making lunch, and I'm like, yeah, you're not talking about for example, you're not talking about the person who's holding that video camera right now. There's literally someone holding a video camera following you around while you're working out.
Yeah.
There's somebody editing that video. There's somebody was watching your kids while you were at the gym. You're just making it seem like everything is like you got everything, but it's like, no, it's messy in the background. And mostly the only way that you can present the shiny stuff is with a lot of support, a lot of systems, and a lot of SOPs in
Or you
place to
break
help you
down real
do
easily.
that. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why I always got
So
so
yeah,
frustrating to me when people show that stuff online. I'm like, it's not really authentic. You don't see the kids screaming, the wife yelling at you, or things breaking. You don't see all the messy, dirty, ugly things then that you put
yeah,
so much time into build and create into yourself over that time. You just see such this nice, perfect little image. Everyone's like, oh yeah, I want to do that. I can do that. And
yeah,
that's why people
yeah.
fail. That's why they
And
understand
though,
you can fail. It's okay.
because those are the moments that grow us,
Yeah.
right? It's the friction that gets created by those moments that transform us, that have
Yeah.
us rise to another level of performance. And we are obsessed with like the last chapter of the book, right? The last scene of the movie.
Let's
But
just
it's
get
like,
there
no,
already.
there was all this stuff that happened that made it so that you could be standing in the mountaintop with the girl or the guy, going, I made it, right? Like it we can't just only want to be in the space of the good moments, and we have to be able, part of leadership is being able to navigate with confidence the
Yeah.
downs,
You have to
and
disillusion yourself.
yeah, I think it's like a deep understanding, I think it's a deep trust that this is just a moment in time, right? That this is just a moment in time, and there's something for me to learn. There's an opportunity for me here in this moment that's going to better me, grow me, right? And if you stay grounded in that, then you can access like the lessons. You can allow. You were gonna say something, I think.
Oh, it was actually related to that. I always tell people, like maybe having a bad day, maybe going wrong and really crappy. That's okay. That's just one day. And you have to remember, don't let it ruin the rest of the day. Maybe it was a moment that happened, say within like 30 seconds. You can let that whole
Yeah,
30 seconds ruin the next hour, the next 12 hours, next day, the next week. Like you said, it's a lesson there, but then you gotta let go of it because the next day is a new day to start. You know, I
yeah,
still struggle with that myself. Sometimes I lay on my
yeah,
couch over there, like shaking, like it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. You know,
yeah,
it
yeah.
happens.
Well, it's human, and that's the
Yeah.
part that's like, it's human. It's part of the human journey, and you're never. Listen, you're never done. It's like the moment you climb one step, you're at the bottom of the next one. So there's always a next level. There's always a next step. When you are an entrepreneur, the challenges that come trying to reach 100K are very different than trying to reach 250K. Very different than trying to reach 500K. Very different than reaching a million, right? The problems that you have at each level. And here's the thing, the problems get more expensive. The problems
Higher
get,
risk too.
riskier to solve. Exactly. You literally took that out of my mouth. So you think it's like you think that you're, oh, I'll be chilling, but it's like, no, you're writing larger checks. You're writing checks that you're like, oh, okay, this is scary. I'm literally
Are we really here right now? Is
you
this
know
really
you
happening?
you you have having a team. When you have a team, you think it's fun, but then you're like, I gotta be responsible to make sure that these guys get paid every week. Like, I cannot mess with that. Like, that's a whole other level of mindset
Yeah.
that comes into play when it's just you know
Sorry. Like I said, I really
no, no.
took working for people for granted. Like when I go to
Hmm.
jobs, like I work for a company right now as well. I really took it for granted for the longest time, and so I started my entrepreneurial journey and not realizing or understand and getting such clarity in what actually goes on to run that company, what people are
Yeah,
actually doing day to day and working together as a cohesive team and actually communicating and going on my journey, I just realized like, wow, there's so much that happens, so much that goes on that has to
yeah,
be done. I'm just going to work every day, collecting my check, and that's it, not caring.
yeah.
And I
Doing
really
your
just
part.
started caring and seeing it, and it's a mind opener.
Yeah.
It
No,
blows
absolutely.
me
And it'll
away.
make you, understanding that will make you not just a better team and member there, but it'll make you a more effective leader in the space,
Yeah. I
because you're
found my voice
moving.
more from it.
Yeah, moving with that kind of awareness is like, it really opens you
I
up.
always
Yeah.
say everyone should go on this journey or talk with a coach. Okay, it's so important. No matter if you're entrepreneur, I mean you work at a job for someone else to build their dream, that is fine too. But you still some skills and things that you need to level up on to go further in that journey as well. I always
Yeah.
tell people being an entrepreneur is amazing. It teaches you, you learn the clarity. Just yeah.
Yeah. And for the people that are not entrepreneurs, you can still achieve that. The goal is, how can you create a situation that forces a transformation in you, right? That forces you to now learn new skills, work new muscles. You can do that by doing a fundraiser for your church. You can do that by, starting a new hobby or a new project, starting a nonprofit. You can do that by organizing a family, reunion. Like, there's a lot of ways that you can work your muscle of leadership. But what I really, so it doesn't have to be like, I don't want you to tune out if you're not an entrepreneur. Everything that we're talking about, it could be taking on extra responsibility at your current job, for example. The question is, are how can you create, I talk about it this way: how can you create a breakdown for yourself, right? How can you create, because it's like, the moment that you declare something bold, something new, immediately what shows up is the breakdown between you and where you want to go, the space between you and when you want to go. So let's say I declare that I'm gonna climb Mount Everest. The first thing that smacks you in the face is, holy crap, that's really
What I
high.
got myself into.
How am I gonna get up there? What did I get myself into, right? So it could be a marathon for you, right? It could be, hell, it could be a 5K or 3K. It doesn't matter. The point is that by you declaring something outside of your box, you now have to go have a transformation in yourself and your leadership in order to work on that. And whether you achieve it or not, you're still going to have a transformation. Like, preparing for a marathon and running the marathon, you still get to have a transformation, even if you're just preparing for it, right? Even if you don't finish it, it took something. You learned something from it. It grew you in some way. And if you're willing to now reflect and take the lessons from it and ask yourself, what did I learn from that? Right? What worked? What didn't work? What would I do differently? Then you can integrate the lessons. That's something else that we're not particularly good at. We're living in such a reactive society that we just want to move on,
We
right?
don't. A lot of
Especially
us
when
don't
it
have
comes
that
to,
mindset just yet, or know how to build it.
yeah. And we're just, we have devices in front of us. We have notifications going off all the time, all these things that are designed to be addictive. So we're living very reactionary lifestyles right now. And we've never been this stimulated in the history of humanity. We've never, we used to live very different lives 100 years ago. So evolution hasn't caught up to that, like, we're still understanding what the impact is on our brains, what the impact is on our physical bodies. All of that to say is that practicing mindfulness and self-awareness is absolutely necessary, because if you're just in reaction and you're moving and then you're not growing. A reaction by default is a response based on past behavior by default, right? A reaction is a response based on information that you learned, a pattern that you learned from the past. New stuff that's outside of the box, outside of your past, requires presence, requires you to go, how am I going to approach that? What is there for me to learn here? What support system do I have? What resources do I have? And you're going to have setbacks. You're going to have failures along the way. If you're listening, I'm doing air quotes because failures aren't really failures, right? All of those moments teach us. They grow us, they evolve us, but we have to do the work of integrating them. We have to do the work of stopping and asking the questions. Well, what did I learn? What would I do differently? What worked? What didn't work? Right? What am I grateful for? Those questions will help you integrate any quote unquote failure and learn the lesson. Because when you learn the lesson, then you can bring that forward to the next time. But when you don't integrate it, you find yourself repeating the behavior over and over again. Right? So if you find yourself caught in similar patterns where you're doing the same thing over and over again, I want you to look at that. You're probably not integrating the lessons.
Well, first, you got to step away from that screen, put the screen down.
Well, there's that.
That's the first thing you got to do, to step away, just disconnect yourself, because it's so addicting.
Yeah.
But that's what so many people are right now.
We numb ourselves. It numbs us, right? It disconnects us. We disengage. And I get it. I'm guilty of it too. Like after a long day, I love to sit in front of Netflix and just watch some of my favorite shows. It's one of my favorite ways to just disengage. But if you actually look at what's happening, it's your brain trying to soothe itself from all the overstimulation. And so now you're numbing yourself, right? And so how can you, maybe just do that for an hour and then pick up a book or have a conversation with your partner sitting next to you, or go for a walk, move your body, right? So give yourself, I'm not telling you don't have a cookie, don't watch TV. I'm not that kind of human being at all. But like, how can you put guardrails on it so that it's not running you and you're running it? Oh, I like to decompress with watching TV. Okay, I'm going to give myself an hour. I'm going to watch my favorite show, and then I'm going to go stretch. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to read. I'm going to, whatever, I'm going to color in this coloring book, like whatever it is that would give you work a different side of your brain.
Yeah, you have to really look into that pattern interrupt and understand these are actually habits that you have to put into place over time. Some people try and do it all at once, but it's just those little small pattern interrupts over time that builds up those better habits of consistency.
Yeah, that's really good.
I tried doing it before, like, okay, I'm not going to watch Netflix at all. I'm just going to sit here and do my work only. And that was so frustrating, and it was kind of draining. I'd go back to it. So I had to really, over time, like, okay, I'll sit here for an hour now. Like you said, I'll go for the walk. I did that. And over time, really, it changed that pattern of how my behavior was. And it didn't happen overnight. It happened probably for me over like a couple of months, of going back and forth and having grace for myself, realizing, okay, it's okay. As long as I'm not focusing all my time on this, but I'm doing things that are part of my vision and my overall goals for my business and my life.
Yeah. And there's there's something that you are talking about that I kind of want to put a finger on it. The way that you're modeling this, there's just grace there.
Repeat that.
And grace, like
yes.
you're being graceful with yourself. And I find that mostly we're not.
Oh no.
We have an easier time being graceful with others sometimes, but we're not gracious with ourselves at all. Like when we don't meet our own expectations, we go to town, man. We are just nasty to ourselves. We really beat ourselves up.
Oh, that was horrible.
When you're learning something new, like think of a child learning how to walk, right? You would never go, what's wrong with you? Why are you messing up? Like you would be like, okay, come on, try again.
Not. It's bad parenting.
No, you would never do that. You would be so forgiving and understanding and gracious and supportive and and encouraging.
Yeah.
It's like we have to be that way with ourselves, because anytime you're learning something new, anytime you're developing a new habit, you're learning how to walk. Like you're learning how to walk. There's no other way to put it. You're learning how to walk. That's not a skill set you possess. You can possess it, but it's not a skill set that you possess yet. Now, to develop any skill set, it requires a lot of practice. It requires a lot of repetition. Any other idea that you should, so I used to, I remember I had this big breakthrough moment when it came to like sales in my business back in that 5-year period that I told you about where I was a hot mess. You know, the interesting thing was I had been selling for other people for many years, very successfully. But there's a big difference between selling for other people and selling for yourself. A lot of people, their mindset gets screwed up now when it's time to sell for themselves. It occurs like you're asking, you're bothering, like something, right? Like there's a lot in there that we have to unpack.
I
But
feel that. Yes.
yeah, so when I was learning how to sell, I mean, at this point, I probably have been coaching for almost 7-8 years, and I was very confident in my skill set. And I started to say, okay, I had this aha moment. I said, how long have I trained to be a coach? I said, okay, I've been working at this for 7 years, 7, 8 years now. And how long have I been training to be a salesperson? Not very long at all. And the way that I approached learning coaching, I was a beast. I was like asking questions, demanding coaching. I would like have a situation and I would go back to my mentors and I would say, hey, I did this. They said this happened. Okay, do this and go back. Okay, I would go back. There was a way that I approached it that I really was passionate about figuring this out. And what I realized was like, why do I have this expectation that I should just that I should just know how to sell? When I didn't know how to coach, like I had to learn how to do that.
What is that? Because we all have that. It's just so
All of it.
frustrating.
Like I wanted to go up to the mound and hit a home run without like ever practicing.
Yeah.
And it's like it's so unrealistic and it's so unkind and so
It
unfair.
frustrates us.
Yeah. So from that moment on, I took on sales as like the same way that I took on coaching. I was like, okay, I'm going to figure this out. I want to figure this out. I would have a conversation and I would immediately go to my coach and debrief it and get feedback. I would ask a lot of questions. Well, how do you do this? And what do you do here? And how do you respond to this? And how do you handle this? And I started to really get passionate about discovering this for myself. Completely changed the game. Like when we are learning these new skills, we can't just have this expectation that we should be good at it. You have to learn. And I recommend learning from somebody who can teach you, who has gone through that process and can be your shorthand, right? You want to leverage the experience of somebody else. I mean, you could do it on your own, but why would you take, 5, 6 years to figure something out that someone can shorthand for you in a few months?
And then you're just crip because you can't figure it out, and you failed so much that you have nothing to compare it to. You're like, I'm done.
Right. Making yourself crazy, spending more money, like this, by the time I figured this out, I had gotten to the point where I was about to quit. Like I was about to go, okay, I'm going back to work. Like I'm going back to work because I can't keep doing this, right?
Fuck
I
this
can't
shit
keep
talk
doing,
about.
but then this was part of it, right? And then luckily I had coaches who taught me how to do this in a way that was authentic for me, that was empowering for me. But I really recommend that be careful of this, like, because now there's this kind of fallacy illusion, especially with AI, that you can just do everything on your own. And you have a lot more tools and you have a lot more options. It doesn't mean you can do everything on your own. It doesn't mean you should do everything on your own.
Yes, I like that because you can, should you? Especially with AI, because those are tools people don't understand really how to be used correctly.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
And AI is going to spit back out what you give it. Like AI is not going to hold you accountable. AI is not going to go, hey, every time this happens to you. Every AI is not going to like, have that kind of insight, at least not yet. So when you have a good coach or a good mentor, that can see those patterns and help you identify them and interrupt them, Like, one of the things that I figured out about myself a long time ago, actually, I didn't figure it out. My coach figured it out. He was like, I was having a moment where I just wasn't like, I wasn't feeling good. I was getting, frustrated with, like, the everyday stuff of business. And he had this thing where he said, when was the last time you were on a stage? And I said, oh, it's been like 4 months. And he goes, oh yeah, you need to go get on a stage. I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, you get fucked up every time you haven't been on a stage for 3 months. I was like, really? He's like, yeah, you always get messed up whenever you're on a stage, you're on fire for like the next. I was like, oh. So I had to like start building that into like my planning strategy, that I had to make sure that I was either hosting an event, hosting a workshop, getting invited to speak every month or two, because I needed that for
That's
my
giving you
like
so much
expression.
energy.
It gave me life, right?
Yeah.
It just gave me so much life, being in front of people and interacting with them and having those
Feel that.
conversations that really make a difference. But that's the kind of insight that the mentor, the right mentor or coach can bring.
How would you figure that out on your own? It's like two brains are
I
better than
wouldn't
one,
have.
right?
I wouldn't have, yeah.
And
No, because in that moment like that, what you would do is, now you're trying to go, oh, what's wrong? Why am I feeling this way? Why can I, or
those
you try
stories
to
will
now
fuck you
figure,
up. Oof.
yeah. Or you try to figure out the circumstances, right? You try to move the furniture around in the house
Who
so
does
that you are
that?
feeling better, right? You're like, oh, I just need a new paint color, or oh, I just need,
You're like
and we're
inside my
just throwing.
brain right now. What the fuck? Whatever, man. So true though. Oh my god.
Yeah, it is. It is. We
What the
start dealing with the
hell?
circumstances and not with what is generating it behind. And for me, it's,
Ooh.
look, at the end of the day, I didn't go into business to deal with all the little nitty gritty. I do this because I love people and I love having those conversations.
Yeah.
So when I'm on a stage and I get to amplify that, it's like my vision alive, right? Like it's so we forget that a lot. It's easy to forget that when you have your own business, because it's such a grind.
It's so easy to get caught up in the everydays of everything, and you forget almost
It's
why
such a
you're
grind.
there.
Yeah.
What you forget your why, what you're actually trying to achieve, and what you're trying to do. You just kind of forget. It
Yeah.
gets disillusioned in
Yeah.
all the stuff you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like
Absolutely.
how you mentioned earlier about finding the right coach, because you really have to make sure you find someone that really connects with you. Like you said, brings the best out of you. Not trying to hold
Yeah.
you accountable to who they are and where they are, but meet you where you are. Because
That's really
I've
good what you
seen
just
that.
said.
I've experienced that recently with a really horrible coach, a fitness coach. And he was trying to get me to where he is, not understanding that I'm where I am. I'm not there yet. I like to get there, but he was
You may not even want to be
unachievable.
there.
Yeah, I don't know how
You
yet.
may not even want to be there,
Yeah,
right?
now I
Like,
don't want to be where you are. Where you are is really depressing. Like, what the heck? Why would I want to be you there?
like,
Like, oh my god.
like, I want to be able to have a cookie. Okay, what version of that is
No
no?
cookies are crumb.
But you're pointing to something really important there, because
Yeah.
yes, a good coach or mentor is going to coach you on your vision and your goals, not on theirs.
Yeah.
Now that's different. You also want somebody who can help expand your vision of yourself. There's people that can, I want to have people around me that see me bigger than I can see myself.
They need to push you, not pull you in their direction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But they also have to understand what matters to me. There I'll give you a perfect example. So there's a one of the strategies out there is using marketing copy that's like very pain driven, right? Like,
That's in
and
my
very
industry
like,
a lot.
this is, you are going to, like, if you don't buy this
You will die.
thing, you will never be successful in life, right? And there's a point where it's like, and I've been coached
Really?
I've been coached to do that. I've been coached to speak that way and to
Same.
write emails and copy. And I'm like, I'm not doing that.
It doesn't feel right. It doesn't sit
I'm not
right.
doing that. It feels manipulative. It feels icky. It feels like a lie. It feels like I'm, going after people when they're the most desperate. So
Ooh.
you have to find the right person that it can work with you in how you want to work, and that knows how to coach you in what's authentic to you.
Even know what it
um
means to actually be a coach too. A lot of coaches don't understand that. They don't really understand how to
mm,
connect with people. But they connect with them on the place where they've healed, but not where that person's in the process of healing and trying to get to or become.
yeah,
So it's very
yeah.
important.
Like I just have a very personal relationship with my clients and people, and even if you're on my mailing list, you're there because you saw me speaking, because you heard me, maybe you heard me on a podcast, but you've had an interaction with me in some way, shape, or form. You didn't just like walk off the street from an ad. So I'm not gonna speak to people like that who I like have had an intimate experience with, like it's just not the context that I want to have. So yeah, find the right person, also find the person who's doing the thing and who is,
That's important.
being successful at the thing that you want to be successful at, and that feel like it's living, walking the walk and talking the talk,
Ooh, that's
right?
really powerful right there. You don't want to ask your
Yeah.
mom for business advice, even though you love your mom to death. She's a great woman, but she's never built a fucking business in her entire life. Thank you, mom.
That.
So,
Yeah.
people
but
forget
but but
that.
I'm also seeing so many people out there, especially it's happening a lot in the spiritual coaching world, where you meet people that are like, putting forward all this stuff that they're not living, and it's like, you can't coach me on relationships when you have been,
15 divorces, whatever.
single. Yeah, nothing wrong with divorces.
But
I'm
15,
not
you're trying to give
saying
me
that,
advice?
but you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Or it's not even the divorce, is that you're not being in your relationship in a way that I want to be, right? But it's we have to be careful that we're also working with people that are in integrity with what they're saying, that it's not just talking points.
That brings up a
um
point of like people are vulnerable and they're trying to find someone to help them cope or get through or learn something but they may not have been before. So they're
yeah,
perceptible to anyone and anything because they haven't quite
yeah,
worked on themselves yet to really have that clarity to understand that this person is bad for me or this person may be good for me. They haven't really
yeah,
gone through that work yet.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And you might make mistakes. Trust your instincts. I mean, I say trust your instincts about everything, pretty much. If something's telling you this isn't for me, then trust it. And
I made that mistake too many times. Like, oh, this person seems cool. Let's just try it. What's the worst that can happen? Yeah. I have to stop asking myself that question and start to be more diligent when I go about finding coaches and people because there's a lot that can happen and go wrong. It can really
yeah,
mess with you emotionally, physically,
yeah, yeah,
psychologically
yeah,
if it's the wrong
yeah,
person.
yeah,
And I've
yeah,
been
for
there and
sure.
it's frustrating. It sucks and it's a lot. At the end of the
For
day, we're
sure.
human beings, and we're truly put on this planet. I feel to wanting to help other people. I feel like the most valuable purpose and gift in our lives is to actually be helping other people. So for me, when I
Yeah,
feel at my peak performance and alive, is I'm having conversations on my podcast, talking to people, or I'm helping
yeah,
other people figure out something they can't figure out themselves, and I'm there to be able to help and assist them understand the mindset and thought process that's needed to help them get through it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I believe that. I do what I do because I believe that.
Yeah.
I think we're at our best when we are focused out and being
Yeah.
of service
It feels
to
differently. It's just
the
something.
planet in some way.
Yeah, so many of us have lost our purpose in this world. We have these things that we claim as being a purpose, but really it's really just diluting our own
Our
false
purpose has
reality.
become our careers and our jobs,
And it's,
and
it's diluted our reality so much. I was there myself. I was in the matrix, not understanding how to navigate my own life or figure out my own things, and not understanding my own journey of things I need to go through and understand, and skills I needed to build to get to where
yeah.
I wanted to, which is the freedom of my mind. That's very
How
important to
did you
me.
start? What started to wake you up to that?
So what actually started waking me up was I actually overdosed and died. Like in
Okay,
2023,
let's get
so
into
before
it.
that I was battling drug and alcohol addiction. I was trying to be sober for about 2 years. I was trying, okay, I can get this, I can figure it out. And I went back out and party and just didn't get it. I couldn't figure it out. I was so frustrated at myself, but then I ended up overdosing and dying that night. And through that experience, a voice spoke to me and let me know that my purpose is not over, and that after that, I started doing the actual work, changing my identity, readdressing my mindset, and realized I had to shift so many things and let go of so much that I was taught and that I brought up, that I learned, and I had to really relearn things all over again to find my purpose to where I am now, to really figure out who I am, what I stand for, and what I need to do to help other people get there as well. It was such a
Wow.
process, and I had to die. I had to. There was no way for me
Yeah.
around that. It had to happen. So I don't think if
Yeah.
I wouldn't have died, if I wouldn't have OD'd, I would step going down that road. Eventually, I would have died and not come back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I realized
Wow.
so
That's
many
powerful.
coaches that I could reach out and actually have people help me, and that was part of self-leadership, realizing that I have the tools inside, but I don't have all the power of the answers. And there's other people out there like yourself that have those answers to help me open up the tools inside me and figure out how to use them properly.
Yeah. Listen, a coach is just like a mirror, right? Like at the end of the day, I love what you said. We all have the what we need inside of us, right? And this is really what I mean by when you start to listen to coaches or leaders. I mean, let's switch the conversation from coaches to leaders, actually, because I think that'll be more beneficial for people. It, you know, whenever you have a leader selling you they are the answer, I think that's problematic.
Red
Because a
flag.
leader, yeah, it's a red flag, right? Because that's centric around them. And I think any type of leader, whether it's at a church or politics or a job or whatever, or your neighborhood, it's really a we conversation. We have the answer, right? I don't know the answer, but within all of us here, we can figure this out. And that's really, anytime someone is positioning themselves as like the savior, I would say, be careful. Usually it's manipulation, and typically, especially when they're the savior to the problem that they created.
That goes back to what I said earlier. People are very perceptible to things. You know?
you know yeah, but if when leadership for me is always outwardly focused. It's always outwardly focused, so you want to really be having conversations about how can, and that's what you're talking about earlier, that you're so alive when you are in support of others having these conversations, because that's just your leadership authentically self-expressed,
It was hard to
right?
find that too.
And we all have that.
I
It just
do.
gets numbed, it gets like suppressed, it gets like trained out of us as like, as we're growing up, but we all have that, you know yeah, because you start to mold it. For me, I was the child of the immigrant kid, so my training was keep your head down, work hard,
Sit down. Shut
outwork
up.
everybody. Yeah, be seen, not heard. Kids are not meant to, like, so all that stuff is in there, and you gotta like undo that when you're in a meeting. Then I go into a place like Sony, and all that shit kicks in. Keep my head down, don't work, don't make noise, right? Like be seen, be seen, not
Mentally
heard. Be
debilitating.
and in those environments, it doesn't work,
No.
right? It doesn't work. So we all have stuff. The awareness of doing this work is really powerful. So don't, back to the leadership thing, just, we're all at work, and you want a leader who's going to demonstrate doing the work with you. Like, that's what I think real powerful leadership is. It's like, hey, here's the part that I figured out. Like, maybe I might be 2 steps ahead of you.
Who's coming with
So
me?
Here's the part that I know. Yeah, exactly. And then we'll figure it out together as we go along, right? We'll lock arms and we'll walk each other home. And that, for me, is the type of leadership that inspires not only other people, but me, myself too. Because whenever I get in a space of like, oh my God, I have to have the answer. Oh my God, I have to project this authority. Oh my God, I can't show vulnerability. Like, at the end of the day, when I'm in a place like that, I'm fucked up.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's not authentic.
No.
I'm just screwed up about something. Like, something's running in my mind, making me, and my power goes completely out the window. Like, I'm just I'm back in the schoolyard trying to protect myself from whatever's going on, right? So you want somebody who, like, you want leadership that's going to emulate the struggle and the process of you doing your work. I remember when I first started speaking, and again, you got to get that I was doing this when coaching was still a baby industry. And so I started going, I would go on stages and wherever it was, and I would start sweating because I was nervous. I mean, I'm a sweater in general anyway, but of course I'm in the hot seat, and I would start sweating. I don't have any hair, so you know what this is like. It just starts dripping down your forehead,
It's like that meme.
I'm sitting there.
It's dripping down.
And it's just getting in my eyes. It's getting like, I'm literally like, and I'm wearing suits because I'm pretending to be someone else. I'm pretending to be, like, the guys who just speak wear suits. So let me go in there with a suit. So now I'm wearing a suit. I'm hot. I'm sweating. Like, I literally had sweat stains underneath that I couldn't take off my jacket because my shirt was all full of us, And it was like just me sitting there pretending for 2 hours that I'm not a sweating mess. People would get uncomfortable and bring me towels. I literally sometimes I literally would have puddles on the floor sometimes where I was like literally I have to be careful that I didn't slide.
Do you need medical attention?
So my biggest, like, one of my biggest leadership moments is like I started walking up in front of the room and saying, "Hi guys, my name is Gary Montalvo. I'm really nervous right now. I want to make sure I do a good job. I'm going to start sweating. I have this towel here because I'm going to start sweating." Now, here's the thing. The moment I did that, I was free. I was no longer pretending. I was no longer trying to hide. I was now free. Hey, this thing that I'm hiding, I just put it out here. Okay. That's why I did it, because I suspected that would happen. The next thing that happened, I did not suspect, and it has been one of the most powerful lessons in my entire life. I immediately had the room. When I said that, the room immediately connected with me and was like, "Oh, Gary," like, because who couldn't relate to that? Who couldn't relate to being in a situation like that? And what I displayed for them there was, I'm doing something scary and I'm doing it anyway.
You just humanized
and
yourself.
This is leadership, 100%. And it was something. Now, at the time, things have changed a lot. I think authenticity is demanded now in a way, that was not back then. But at the time, if you would have asked a speaking coach or a leadership coach, they would have said, never do that. You kill your credibility. You kill your credibility the moment you did that. Never do that. But for me, that wasn't true. For me, it gave me credibility, right? And it was like I was displaying the stuff that I was talking about. I was displaying leadership in that moment, right? So it has never, it's been one of my biggest lessons in life. And I till this day, I try to be as authentic as possible. And I let people into my world, and I talk about my stuff, and I use my life stories to teach, because I'm never going to be this person that pretends that everything's all right and I have it all together. I'm going to be like, nope, I'm the one that is a hot mess half the time. And, I'm the one that's going to say, it's okay, let's do this together. And you got this. And I'm the one that's going to hold your hand in the fire, but I'm going to hold your hand in your fire, not pretending that this is no big deal. Like people that just go, oh, just don't be afraid. I'm like, what the fuck? That is the most useless advice in the world. Like, it's the most useless advice in the world. Like,
it's so fake.
You think I'm choosing this? You think I'm here because I like it? You think I can just flip it off?
Like, Karen, if you don't be quiet right now.
It's so it always makes me go insane when I hear that. Oh, just kill your fear. Great, thank you. No, it's be afraid and take a step.
Well, like we said earlier, humanizing yourself, you're able to connect with those other human beings, and they see that we're going through the same things also. I'm afraid of shit right now. Come along with me on my journey, guys, and be afraid with me.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't do it any other way. If you do it the opposite way, you're going to have a nervous breakdown, end up drinking and doing too much drugs. All kinds of stuff's going to happen,
Yeah.
It's going to break you down as a human being.
There's plenty of people trying to do it the other way.
And how's that working out for them? I mean, on the outside, it looks great. On the inside, yeah, I'd hate to look inside that. We all know what's going on, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Gary, thank you so much for sharing your stories and coming on here today. I feel like we could keep going, but I want to be courteous of the time right now as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I looked up and I was like, oh, it's been almost an hour.
2 hours later. Oh, crap.
Yeah, no, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. Yeah. I host my own podcast, The Ownership Game.
Hell
and I know the work that it goes into producing these things, and I know the work that it goes into finding the right guests and vetting them and preparing. So I'm just honored that that I thank you for having me in your space, in your home, and introducing me to your community. It's a real honor, and I don't take it lightly because I know how much work it takes. So
thank you for that. I always say too that it's not the work that goes into the podcast; it's more the work that goes into you because of the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It really does something on you. It adjusts you. Yeah. It changes so much of your mindset and just your ability to communicate and be more human.
Yeah, absolutely.
Before we go today, where can people reach out to you? Any last words you'd like to leave everybody?
So I'm very easy to find, just Gary Montalvo, GaryMontalvo.com. My email is Gary@GaryMontalvo.com. The podcast is called The Ownership Game. I do episodes weekly on Tuesdays. You can find me on social media. If you go to my site, I actually have a leadership assessment that I created for entrepreneurs to help them identify like the areas in their leadership that they want to develop and work on. So if you want to like get an extra tool from me, you can grab that on my site. And if you're in New York, I'm having an event on the New York City area called Beyond Circumstances on October 11th. I don't know when this is publishing. But that's going to be a mindset training on really helping people unravel their judgments, because judgment is one of the biggest things that gets in our way and sabotages us. And last words. Stop messing with yourself, man. Give yourself grace. Stop messing with yourself. Like, it's okay to want to strive for more. It's okay to want to learn something. It's okay to be ambitious. But if you're doing it while you are judging yourself, beating yourself up, not really honoring the risks that you're taking, not really honoring the journey that you're on, not really honoring the ups and downs that go with any quest, then it's really unkind to yourself. So be kind to yourself and be gracious and know that you're not alone.
Dang.
And I believe in you. You got this.
Hell yeah, brother. That was amazing. Thank you for sharing that with the audience. And before we go, one last question for you. I know we've been waiting for this one all day. What does it mean to you to be a human being?
Dude, like you have to like do like what's your favorite book or something? Like this
No,
is a
what's
big conversation.
your favorite
Yeah,
existential crisis you've ever had?
yeah, exactly. We can do a whole new episode on just like what does it mean to be a whole new human being.
Hell yeah.
So I think I think being a human being is what it means is you're on a journey of learning and experiencing, making a ton of mistakes, learning lessons along the way, and hopefully impacting some people and making a difference. But to be a human is to be flawed and to be on a quest. Whatever that quest is for you, we have different quests, but yeah, I don't know. I think that's my answer.
Very well
Final
said.
answer.
There's no wrong answer there. It's all from the heart, how we're trying to help other people understand and to remember to be human beings through all the work that we do, the podcast, your lives, your family, just to remember to be human being in the process. Like you said earlier, give yourself grace. That's being a human being.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Gary, so much again for coming on.
Thank you, brother.
Appreciate your time.
It was a pleasure. All right. We'll
Bye.
be in touch. Thank you, guys.